African bourgeoisie is the most corrupt bourgeoisie in the world. In Africa, they seek luxury in the midst of mass suffering. For what is what, I ain't trying to round my luck this game up. I ain't trying to show skills that the brothers paid up. Emotions got me feeling like one time, like I fade up. I wanna talk all that morning, but I ain't got my weight up. Now I see life like training knuckles, see the fist fight, the insight that I acquire from the skills and eyesight. The street life you glorify is a mean life. The weak, strong, weak, and everybody living still dies. Back in the days I used to master these rap shit, rapping fantastic. Quick words like vocal gymnastics. Started with some slow words like nigga is spastic. I melt mics with these words like fragile plastic. I rather these them days. We used to throw dice, barefoot, and now we making do behind too nice. Taking misses on the cruise, dinner in the moonlight. We having dinner stuck in black, it's still feel like two shots. But you must not think that they represent the people. They only represent their opportunistic self, using the people every step of the way. And you want to sleep in?
What's good, African family? Welcome back to the African Wahala. We're going to be talking about Togo today. Togo is one of the most inconspicuous countries in Africa, and that's not as a sign of disrespect, but it's just what it is, because Togo is a small country located in the western part of Africa, and we don't hear a lot of news from Togo. However, you need to know that the Togolese presidency situation has stayed the same since 1967. In 1967, shortly after independence, the Togolese leadership was assumed by a guy called Gnassingbe, a Yidama, the father of the current president, Faure Gnassingbe. A Yidama Gnassingbe ruled between 1967 and 2005 when he died. He perished. So he never stepped out of power until he died. And we all know that Togo is one of those countries that is not doing well. I mean, the people are great. The people that make up the country, the Airways, the Fons, different ethnic groups in Togo, even the Yorubas are in Togo. Excellent people, good people, kind hearts, beautiful country, lots of natural resources, obviously human resources, but the corruption in the government has diminished the human resources, because human beings are only resourceful if they are provided with education, the ability to be resourceful. But obviously, corrupt politicians take that away from the people. But they still have human resources. So after 2005, when Eyidama died, ruling Togo for a couple of decades, about 38 years, his son took over power. Now, his son, Faure Gnassingbe, has been there, and since 2005, this is 2025. So he's been there for 20 years. And if you know anything about Eyidama Gnassingbe, he loves his luxurious lifestyle. He loves living in opulence at the expense of the people. He's a typical African bourgeoisie, like you heard in the intro of the video. They just love living in luxury, driving Rolls Royces on unpaved roads. Keep in mind, the roads are unpaved because they stole the money that was supposed to be used to pave the roads. But they still import Lamborghinis and expensive cars from Europe, from America, from Asia, driving on those rubbish roads. When they fall sick, they travel to Europe for their medical needs. The same game plan amongst a lot of these West African politicians, especially the West African politicians. And that's why the people finally took to the streets. The protest is Faure Gnassingbe must go. And it's reasonable. You don't expect a family to be in charge since 1967, when the people are one of the poorest in the world, and they are not going to protest. But you see, African politicians are so short-sighted. Their fear for falling back into poverty makes them act like very stupid people, okay? They become very slow. A lot of them are intelligent, don't get it wrong, including this Faure Gnassingbe guy. He is intelligent. However, his fear of falling back into poverty made him dumb. And that's why after taking over power in 2005, obviously through nepotism, he's been there for 20 years. This is 2025. Hasn't done anything for the people of Togo. Togo remains one of the poorest countries in the world, not because the people are unintelligent, but because of the corruption in the government. Now he has taken it up a step further to crush the people's independence and the fake democratic processes. So Faure Gnassingbe brought out a proposal saying that the parliamentarians in Togo are the only ones that should be able to vote for the presidency, and they're trying to pass that into law. So what happens is that the people of Togo will be eliminated from the process of selecting their leadership. And it has already been that way since 1967. So currently, as it stands, for 52 years, thereabout, maybe 58 years, my math might be wrong, the people of Togo have been removed from selecting their leaders. The guy that is the beneficiary of that illegal system, Faure Gnassingbe, he's their current president, he has taken it a step further to remove the ability of the citizens from selecting their leaders and giving that responsibility solely to the corrupt parliamentarians. Because we all know that the parliamentarians are corrupt. Of course, you have to be corrupt if you want to be a parliamentarian. That's the only way you can become a parliamentarian in a country like Togo. Because if you're not corrupt, you're going to be booted out. It's not possible for you to thrive within that space. Secondly, the corrupt administration of Faure Gnassingbe that has been there since 2005 illegally has decided to create a powerful executive role without term limits. This role is called the President of the Council of Ministers, pretty much the head of all the ministers in the country. And it's a significant executive power with no fixed term limits, which means that they can't be removed unless the president decides to remove the president of the Council of Ministers, whatever the hell that means. But guess who the current president of the Council of Ministers is? Faure Gnassingbe, the same crook that has been in power since 2005. I'm just trying to give you guys the reasons why Togolese people are finally taken to the streets. And don't get it wrong, my Togolese Africans, man, we are rooting for you. You see, we that were from Niger, we have been crushed. Okay, Niger is dealing us a big blow right now. But a lot of us are still trying. We're speaking up. Some people are on the streets, on the ground. They are getting violated, getting persecuted by the corrupt government. But we don't have a choice. We have to keep on standing up against the system of evil and corruption. Otherwise, we're going to remain this way forever. And we've already been in this situation for at least since the time of slavery. So I'm talking about like 400 years. We've been at the bottom of the food chain for 400 years. So people are going to continue standing up against, resisting the evil. I mentioned about the controversial parliamentarian-only selection process for the presidency in Togo. I also spoke about the position that was created called the President of the Minister of Councils, of the Council of Ministers, created by Faure Gnassingbe, which is currently headed by him. It's just a way to stay in power because it gives them the ability to control things and keep on looting money at the expense of the people. Finally, people have taken to the streets to protest against Faure Gnassingbe because the family has been in power for 52 years, since 1967. How does a father come into power with violence, rules a country for 30-something years? When he dies after ruining the country, he hands over to his son. Then his son continues the process of ruining the country. And you think that's sustainable? Even if the people are uneducated, they have no political education or exposure or enlightenment, they have no clue what they're doing, it's still unsustainable. But these African politicians, they've become so stupid. And don't get it twisted, a lot of these guys are intelligent, they are exposed, they've lived in developed countries, they know how societies should run, they know it. But they choose not to make their societies work properly because it's to their benefit when majority of their citizens are impoverished and enslaved. It makes them easily controlled. And that's what these short-sighted, greedy politicians are trying to achieve. But let me wrap up this video. What do we want the people of Togo to achieve in this protest? Because a lot of us are rooting for you. Remember, Togo shares its northern border with Niger Republic and Burkina Faso. These are two African countries currently going through a solid revolution. So maybe the revolutionary spirit is spreading from the north into Togo. And we hope it does. What are the people trying to achieve? Faure Gnassingbe must go. It's not a dynasty, it's not a throne. Your family being in control of Togo is not a birthright. You guys have to go. Secondly, it would have been great if Faure Gnassingbe and his cronies of corrupt politicians, the parliamentarians that are supposed to select him, it would be great if those guys can be made to face the law, be booked, sent to prison for the crimes that they've committed against the people of Togo and the country. But that's going to be very difficult because we all understand how the political situation works. The judiciary, once these corrupt politicians get into power, one of the first things that they do is they consolidate the powers of the judiciary under them. So they are fully in control of the judiciary, and all the top institutions, the key institutions like the military, the police, the so-called Independent National Electoral Commission, all these types of institutions are controlled by evil criminal politicians once they get into power. So it's almost impossible to get a fair judgment for the people of Togo against Faure Gnassingbe and the other corrupt politicians. So what is the other alternative? It'll be great, in my own personal opinion, it'll be great if the people can capture it. It's not funny, but it's still funny. It'll be great if the people of Togo can get their hands on Faure Gnassingbe. That's what I would prefer personally. Get your hands on Faure Gnassingbe. It's going to be very difficult because he has a lot of police, soldiers with machine guns imported from Europe and Asia to protect him from the people. So it's going to be difficult. However, if that happens, that will be perfect justice. Because that's what these guys deserve. They deserve to be captured by the people that they've enslaved and then dealt with in a proper justice system. That's my own personal belief. So it'll be great if the people can capture Gnassingbe. If he is able to flee, to run away, to escape from the people, well, the people should. It'll be great if the people can topple the system that has made it possible for Faure Gnassingbe to be there and destroy the people of Togo. It'll be great. So we are cheering for Togo. We are cheering for the people of Togo. Man, the African Revolution is currently being televised on social media. We already have 3 countries that have successfully broken out, well, almost fully successfully broken out of the chains of colonization, neo-colonization, and control and perpetual hopelessness and poverty. Talking about Niger Republic, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Those are the only 3 independent West African countries as it stands. If Togo can become the 4th country, bravo, we are rooting for you. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Kofi So, shout out to you, my brother. Kofi, are you from Airway, Yoruba? What group are you from? Man, love, shout out to my Togolese people. Thank you for coming through. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Click on the like button if you like this type of comments. Peace.